Did you know that only less than 90% of the used plastic is actually recycled? Well, what if I told you? It's none of my business. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Amir Rashidi. I'm a former content creator at Zero Waste Malaysia, ex-vegetarian vegan, and intersectional environmentalist. And this is my persuasive speech on the zero waste movement and greenwashing capitalism. The environment used to mean everything to me circa 2019 to 2021. I brought Tupperware and water bottles everywhere I went. I used a fountain pen and wooden pencils instead of plastic pens and mechanical pencils. I rejected plastic bags, used bar soap, used bar shampoo instead of bottled. I even used a menstrual cup and a bamboo toothbrush. I went vegan for 3 months and became a vegetarian for the entirety of my internship last year. More due to me not having the time to defrost meat and running on a tight budget of tempeh and mushrooms, but needless to say, I had my fair share of the environmentalism fad. But here's my take on why it isn't the ideal lifestyle for everyone. But first of all, what is zero waste? Zero waste is a philosophy and lifestyle that aims to minimize the generation of waste and reduces negative impact on the environment. The central idea behind zero waste is to send as little waste as possible to landfills or incineration facilities, with the ultimate goal of achieving zero waste sent for disposal. This generally involves swapping out everyday disposable items with reusable ones, conscious consumerism, making habits to reduce or eliminate waste, such as newspaper receipts, plastic straws, plastic bags, composting food, waste, etc. As simple as it may seem on a privileged outlook, the zero waste lifestyle is a scam. It isn't accessible to everyone, it spreads a false narrative on the consumerism impact on the planet, and is very gimmicky to the point where it's causing more harm than good in the form of greenwashing capitalism. Zero waste has become a trend prominently with white upper-class women being the forefront of the movement, spreading unrealistic standards on social media, eliminating the voices of the underprivileged, and further turning a blind eye to the population who truly suffer from the impacts of pollution. Firstly, zero waste is not accessible. When you look up hashtag zero waste on Instagram, you're flooded with feeds of people using bamboo products, metal straws, refilling mason jars at specialized zero waste stores. Do you know where most of these zero waste stores are located in Malaysia? In big cities and high-income areas such as Kuala Lumpur and Petaling Jaya. Even other major cities such as Johor Bahru may only have 1 or 2 zero waste stores, and even then, all products are priced at an unattainable rate. Laundry detergent refills can go up to 1 ringgit 80 cents per 100 grams, whereas the economic choice at conventional grocery stores usually go for around 50 cents per 100 grams. Dish soap at zero waste stores typically costs about 90 cents per 100 milliliters, whereas normal rates would be at 40 cents per 100 milliliters. Besides that, in terms of accessibility, disposable products are aimed to make life easier, especially for those with disabilities. For example, using disposable cutlery and plates may not be easier for those who struggle to take care of themselves, whether because of conditions like clinical depression or mobility limitations. Additionally, products such as metal, bamboo, glass, and acrylic straws pose injury risk, especially for those with tremors, spastic episodes, and temperature sensitivity conditions. Paper and plastic straws also put individuals at risk of choking. Compostable straws, made of other natural materials, increase the likelihood of allergic reactions, which can be deadly and often require special processing to compost safely and correctly. As preaching for zero waste alternatives usually involves shaming those who don't make the switch, it is disgraceful to be inconsiderate of those who do not have the choice. This leads to my next point, which is that zero waste movement was more of a temporary and outdated trend. When was the last time you've seen someone whip out a metal straw, willingly deny plastic bag, or request plastic-free packaging? During quarantine, people preached for reusables and zero waste alternatives because disposable and perishable products were becoming more scarce as people were stockpiling and panic buying due to the uncertainty of when the quarantine period would end. It was during that period of time when people saw the importance of using reusable products and materials and to limit trips to the grocery store for their own safety and for the longevity of their survival during those trying times. As the interest in low waste/zero waste products were increasing, large companies took a hold of that idea, thus introducing greenwashing capitalism. Compostable bamboo toothbrushes were made with plastic bristles and packaged and mass-produced similarly to that of plastic toothbrushes, but the prices were marked up exponentially in comparison. This is a prime example of greenwashing, and to someone less educated on what it means to be zero waste, buying these products feeds into their moral beliefs that doing so ultimately makes them a better person. Another outlet of greenwashing includes shilling so-called green products, while inadvertently tricking the public into making conscious decisions for the environment without doing much research. This includes changing the packaging design to be more earthy themes or green tones, and using buzzwords such as all natural, non-toxic, recyclable, As I mentioned before, less than 9% of materials are actually recycled. This is due to the physical limits of recycling. We can't recycle products that are soiled or have food waste on them. Mixed material packaging or even small or thin pieces of plastic cannot be recycled. With this knowledge, we can disprove of greenwashing tactics such as shilling recyclable food cartons, which are most likely lined with plastic or foil to ensure the longevity of the product it contains, making it a mixed material which cannot be recycled. Another greenwashing tactic is promoting all natural products, such as natural deodorants, natural skincare products, and household cleaning products. Decades of research and dermatology technology has proven that most chemical products do not cause cancer or damages the skin in the long run, as many green products suggest. Not only are a lot of these products less effective than those sold typically at grocery stores, but undermining decades of credible research, technology, and testing is not something that we should be promoting. Another recent trend, being a byproduct of greenwashing capitalism, is thrifting. Thrift stores, or Kadai Bundle, were originally made to accommodate lower-income communities who could only afford to purchase second-hand items which were sold at affordable rates. But since the rise of social media, especially TikTok, which led to a gentrification of thrifting, in which many influencers have popularized the trend of thrift hauls where they would purchase second-hand clothes in bulk, thus taking away resources for the needy. What originally was aimed to reduce fabric waste and extend the life cycle of garments has now led to an influx of demand for second-hand clothes and has ultimately changed the landscape of the thrifting market, leading to the rise of modern thrift shops that filter their catalog to only sell trendy items and marking up prices of their clothes exponentially, turning away from what thrift shops originally aimed to be. Another form of pseudo-environmentalism includes the trend of going vegan or vegetarian. Speaking from experience, the world of eco-friendly eating is a far different playing field depending on your socioeconomic class. As a lower-class citizen in a developing country, my ideals of veganism and vegetarianism differ greatly from a white upper-class woman from a first-world country. In my 3 months of going on a vegan diet while also being on a student budget, my options were vastly limited. My idea of veganism didn't include being cruelty-free, which meant that I allowed myself to consume palm products that are commonly associated with the exploitation of natural habitats. But what choice did I have? Most, if not all, ready-made foods were cooked in palm oil, or contained palm oil to some degree. Ikan bilis or anchovy seasoning was also difficult to avoid as a Malay person who would typically use ikan bilis to season everything from sambal to fried rice. I had to get creative with the proteins made available to me, going back and forth from cooking mushrooms, beans, and soy products such as tofu and tempeh. And during my vegetarianism period, I allowed myself to consume eggs, which helped balance my diet a little more. For my 3 months into veganism, I learned that although preparation time for cooking was greatly reduced, the all-fiber diet was something I didn't anticipate, in which I had to eat more often to sustain my hunger throughout the day. Maybe if I stuck to the diet a little bit longer, I would be more accustomed to this new pattern, but being a busy person, having to eat every few hours and waking up on an empty stomach was not ideal for my lifestyle. Now, for the Western ideals of veganism. I once had the unfortunate conversation with a vegan from a higher socioeconomic class, and they were absolutely disgusted at my hindrance from being cruelty-free. They had the means to consistently consume corn oil instead of palm, and would demand it at high-end restaurants that catered to strict vegan diets. Their choices of protein were far more varied, as they could afford imitation meat and sausages that costed more than 10 times of that of real meat products, and they could also afford more dairy alternatives such as oat and almond milk, while I could only limit myself to condensed milk, which is palm-based, and coconut milk in my cooking. I wasn't very fond of being constantly shamed for not going cruelty-free in addition to being vegan, as I knew that veganism and cruelty-free practices didn't always go hand in hand. Agave, the common alternative to natural honey, is produced extremely unethically and exploits the agave plant, which is an endangered plant only available in Mexico. Beekeeping, however, has become a very ethical practice, as bees must be well taken care of to produce honey, and consuming honey is generally not stealing from the bees, as most vegans claim. Bees only use a small amount for their own use. If anything, beekeeping does more good than harm to the local ecosystem, protecting bee colonies from danger, giving them the ability to thrive in a safer environment. A lot of Western vegan practices are inconsistent to their environmental benefits that they preach and have thus tied into capitalism, which more gimmicky vegan products would be produced. A lot of vegan products are soy-based, which are preached to be a more sustainable option, even though it vastly contributes to deforestation in South America. And even so, my locally produced tempeh and tofu was also made from imported soybeans, making my own practices none the wiser. Lastly, I want to touch on the real culprit of environmental pollution, which is big companies. A core belief of the zero waste movement is to make individual changes and to consume consciously, which in turn does barely anything for the betterment of the environment. 70% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions were made responsible by 100 companies alone. An average of 10% of water used is for domestic purposes, whereas the remainder is contributed by agriculture and industrial needs. To put in a metaphor, urging an individual to go zero waste would be like telling someone to reduce deforestation by not using toothpicks. The change would be extremely minimal and making little to no impact on the environment as a whole. As well as greenwashing tactics, inducing guilt in consumers, these statistics are further reinforced by greenwashing documentaries, such as What the Health, a documentary made to guilt trip the masses into going vegan, which unfortunately I have watched and thus brought me to being a vegan in the first place. What the Health showcases the so-called health risks of consuming animal products and the overall environmental impact of the livestock industry, all while failing to point out that the environmental damages posed were those not responsible by consumers, but rather bigger industries. So I guess you're wondering, what do I do now? Going vegan isn't an option. Zero waste is a scam, and sustainable practices have a bigger impact on my bank account than the environment. The real answer is not much. In reality, the journey towards a sustainable future may seem daunting with the allure of trendy movements and the challenges of accessibility and greenwashing capitalism. We've explored the complexities and disparities surrounding the zero waste lifestyle and seen that it may not be the perfect solution for everyone, but let's not lose hope. The key lies in recognizing that each one of us possesses the power to make a difference, no matter how small. Sustainable living isn't about adhering to a rigid set of rules. It's about embracing conscious choices that align with our values and circumstances. So what can we do now? Start by having your own set of morals and ethical guidelines. Maybe going fully vegan or zero waste isn't feasible for you, but you can still contribute by adopting a plant-based diet for health reasons, reducing waste in your daily life, and supporting local businesses and sustainable products. Research and educate yourself about greenwashing tactics used by corporations and choose to support companies that genuinely prioritize environmental responsibility. Boycott those that don't align with your values and advocate for change by engaging with local authorities and spreading awareness in your community. Remember, sustainability is not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about embracing diversity in solutions and understanding that every positive action counts. Together we can create a sustainable world that respects our planet, its inhabitants, and the delicate balance of nature. Thank you for your attention today. Let's stand united in our commitment to protect and preserve the planet for the well-being of present and future generations to come. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.